ANC Deputy Secretary General, Jessie Duarte, will today give an update on the outcome of yesterday's special NEC meeting. Now, the party's top brass met yesterday to discuss former President Jacob Zuma's Constitutional Court challenge. That meeting was convened amid Zuma filing a rescission application against his 15-month jail term. Newzroom Afrika's Pelane has been following those developments, in fact, the developments in that meeting, and he joins us live this morning. Pelane, I was a bit worried by the Business Day's front page this morning because its top story says the NEC and the governing party are leaning towards supporting the rule of law. What does that mean?
I have no idea. But what I can tell you is that the NEC in itself yesterday, when they were discussing this matter, it so seems that the president in his opening address was very much tough in his talk to say that the rule of law must be obeyed by all means, including by all means by political office bearers and as well as politicians within the African National Congress. And so today, when we're going to hear from Jessie Duarte, as the Deputy Secretary General and of course the acting engine of that particular party, we are expecting that the outcome and the statement will most likely lean towards what the President has been saying over the last few months. We do know that he has been saying that the rule of law is the apex law in the country, and it should be respected by all means, no matter who is it is against. That person should be respectful of the law. So that now that is going to give you a sense, of course, of the fact that the deep division within that particular NEC, although they are opposing views, that will stand out to say that all people must respect. But what decisions are they going to be taking is what really takes us to Jessie Duarte to hear exactly what was the outcome. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, a lot said over the weekend by the former president. Ace Magashule was also there. Yep. He also had a lot to say about the inner workings of the ANC. So I suppose the question this morning is, how strongly is government going to come out when it says whatever it says today with this NEC feedback? And how much of it will be around political considerations, factional considerations, and the local government elections?
The local government elections are just around the corner. And funny enough that you're talking about the political considerations, and you've seen that letter that you were talking about with Ayanda just now, and it clearly shows you that the police, in this instance, the police minister in an effect, and also as an NEC member, says that he will not be carrying out the order by the Constitutional Court to effect an arrest until all these litigations have been concluded, including a litigation at the lower court. And the higher court has made a ruling that there has to be an arrest upon the third day of the conclusion of the fifth day, of which the former president was supposed to really hand himself over. So now that gives you that particular narrative that there is seemingly a political consideration as to this. They are looking to try and find a political balance so that they are able to maneuver their way politically. But now the issue is around the Constitution and whether or not it is being compromised with all these, we are going to be waiting for now while we wait, while we're going to be listening what's going to be said in the Constitutional Court next week, or even what's going to be said today at the Pietermaritzburg High Court. And that, I think, it's going to be quite, I would assume it's going to be a short one, because there has been those clear arguments that the jurisdiction of the Pietermaritzburg High Court may not be suitable at this stage to hear this kind of a matter. Now, that in itself, legal experts have been saying that if a higher court has already made an order, the hierarchy in itself of the Constitution might be compromised. Therefore, it might even lead to a bad precedence in the future. So therefore, we might have to wait and hear for the 12th of July, where there's going to be that rescission case going to be heard by the Concord itself.
Pelane, stay where you are. We're going to bring in our colleague, Mnisi. He is live to us as well in Nkandla this morning as we build up to various issues around the story. The NEC meeting and the feedback is one of them. Of course, that application in the High Court in Pietermaritzburg is another. It's happening virtually, Linda, but I'm sure, as the saying goes, all eyes will be on the court come 11:30 this morning.
Absolutely, Michelle, and what that court will decide will, of course, give a way forward in terms of whether we'll be seeing the former president being taken in the police station behind me. It was expected that, of course, he would hand himself within the 5 calendar days that was set down by the Constitutional Court. But in light of those 2 applications, one, the stay of prosecution and the rescission of the sentence in the Constitutional Court. But since those applications, the former president is still at home and is still a free man. But we wake up this morning, Michelle, with a letter from the office of the state attorney writing to the acting chief justice, Raymond Zondo, informing him about, of course, the concern around the arrests. You'll remember that they were given 3 days to ensure that if the former president doesn't hand himself over, they take over and make sure that he is incarcerated. But of course, that 3 days started yesterday. This morning we wake up with a letter from the office of the state attorney saying that they will hold that prosecution pending the outcomes of these court applications. It's not only today but also that of the rescission. So this letter comes within the 3 days, Michelle, and if today fails, they will also have to wait for the other one. Now, the only decision here will lie with the Constitutional Court in terms of whether they say that the police minister as well as the commissioner should follow the law, because nothing changes a court order because there is another application to overturn that ruling. The order still stands at the moment, and what will change it is another order. So the police minister, they're asking to hold that prosecution. Michelle?
Yeah, absolutely. Linda, Pelane, the headline this morning is that the former president is throwing the country and the ANC into uncharted constitutional and legal waters this morning.
Yeah.
Wide-ranging implications for how things could unfold over the next hours and days.
Well, not only even just days. I mean, this is a long-term thing about how the Constitution is going to be continuing to function in our country, and if anything is to go by through and anything goes through the former president's way, it will now set a precedent where a lot of people who might have the means to challenge all sorts of rulings against them all the way to the Constitutional Court and
then back to the High Court.
And back to the High Court. And remember, I think I might be limited in my knowledge as far as the law is concerned, but once you've taken something to the High Court, I would assume that you can appeal it now to the Supreme Court of Appeals, because now that will be the next step before the Constitutional Court. So
you're talking about like the reverse process that we seem to be taking now.
Now it so seems that way. So it could bear long consequences in our democracy and in fact the Constitution in itself. And I think that is where would now need to get a set precedents that of which will be able to be long-lasting, and then there'll be no more loopholes. That of course there will always be challenges to the court. That's why we have lawyers, people who want to say that this is the correct interpretation of the law. But how is this particular rescission going to be interpreted by the Concord? If Justice Raymond Zondo is going to recuse himself so that he can be the Concord in itself can be able to adjudicate, and as well as to give what it could be a fair judgment, and as well as currently, will the Pietermaritzburg High Court in itself says, well, take this directly to the Concord, which have already made a decision about this, and we are not party to this.
Yeah. So legal experts telling us there are 2 things that the Pietermaritzburg High Court will do today. 2 options. It will either say, no, we don't have the jurisdiction, or it will say, go ahead and argue, while the High Court should get involved in a decision that's already made by the Constitutional Court. To both of my colleagues here in studio, Pelane Phakgadi and Linda Mnisi, live to us there in Nkandla, thanks very much for giving us an update on this big developing story.